2025 brought us a slew of federal cases that are frankly still unraveling as we enter a new year. Joining us now is our legal expert, former U.S. Attorney John Fishwick. John, thank you for joining us. First, Attorney General Pam Bondi still battling mounting pushback for not complying with a law to release the complete Epstein files. Now, as you know, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is directing the Senate to take legal action in this case. What do you think is Bondi's next move?
Well, I think Pam Bondi's problem is she raised expectations earlier this year that she had the Epstein-Klein files on her desk, and then she walked that back. And so there's been kind of a sporadic release of these documents. And I think the public wants more transparency, and they want these things released to them with alacrity, with speed. And that hasn't happened. And so she's the Attorney General, and so I think some blame falls with her. You know, I think the public is losing confidence in this as things kind of sputter out. They want to see them all out. They don't want to see the redactions. They want to see as much of this as they can. And so it's happening, but not happening with enough transparency and with enough speed.
Yeah, you're right. There has been some momentum towards the end of the year. We'll see how that continues in 2026. Moving to the Supreme Court, John, expected to determine several monumental cases soon, like whether President Trump's global tariffs are illegal or not, and of course the long simmering controversy of birthright citizenship. So simply put, both of these rulings will have massive consequences. How do you see the decisions going?
Well, Dee, President Trump has had a big year with the Supreme Court. They have certainly expanded executive power, presidential power, particularly as relates to executive agencies and as relates to the immigration laws in this country. They're giving a lot of power to the presidency, a muscular presidency. But there are two big ones out there. The tariffs case, what's going to happen there? I think that's going to be a very close decision. I think a lot of the justices think maybe that tariff power resides with Congress. And I think the Trump executive order on birthright citizenship, that's probably uphill for them. They're looking to really narrow what's always been viewed as birthright citizen under the 14th Amendment. But they're the two big headliners. Trump had a big year in 2025, 2026. Time will tell.
Affordability and, of course, immigration, as you mentioned, sure to be headlines as we usher in the new year. Before I let you go, 8 senators whose phone records were sought by Special Counsel Jack Smith could get big payouts under a new law that allows senators to sue for up to $500,000. Most reportedly have said, John, that they won't seek damages. But either way, going forward on a federal level, how do you really monitor something like this to prevent it from happening again?
That's a great question, Dee. I think the person who's got the big beef here is Congressman Jordan from Ohio, because his phone was looked at for 2 years by these prosecutors, and that was excessive. And I think he's got the biggest beef. You know, the senator's phones was only looked at for a couple of days. I'm not sure they should have a claim to bring a case in court for big bucks. You know, the average citizen should have that same right. But I think we need to look into this, the checks and balances on prosecutors, to make sure phones aren't looked at without there really being due process in that process. And that's a real question here.
If I don't see you, happy holidays. Former U.S. Attorney John Fishwick, appreciate you joining us on the National News Desk tonight.
Thank you.